Morning, everybody. Today we are going to start our MCA review. Because you guys are 7th graders, we are going to go back to 7th grade stuff that you would have learned this year in 7th grade math. So it's things that you should pick up on. We've done a little bit of this stuff before this year. So we should be able to get through it in these next couple weeks. And you guys should be fine in your MCA. So, what we're going to start with is we are going to start with 2 different lessons combined into one today. The first one is going to be integer operations. Then the second one will be mean, median, mode, and range. So, first of all, we'll start with integer operations. So the first problem says make a number line from -5 to 5. So we can make our line here, and then we'll have the arrows on our line. We can put a 0 right here in the middle, and we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on the other side we'll have -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. So there's our number line from -5 to 5. Now we are going to label -4 with A. So at -4 you're going to put an A. Then label the opposite of -3 with B. So the opposite of -3 would be +3, so we're going to label 3 with B. Label the opposite of -2 with C. The opposite of -2 is +2. We're going to label that C. And finally, label the absolute value of 5 with D. So the absolute value of 5 would look like this. What goes into our shower clean comes out clean, so our absolute value of 5 is 5. So 5 will be D. We're done with that problem, so let's go on to the next. Now it says write an expression for each model. So we are going to write something like an equation, but it's going to be an expression. So we start at 0 always. Then it looks like our arrow is going back to -3. So we start at 0 and go back -3. Then we're going up to up to +4. But how many steps is that? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. So -3 plus 7. And then where we end is 4. Here we're going back to -3 again, so we'll have a -3. And how many steps is it? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, so we're adding 4. Here we start at 0 and go up 4. So we'll have a +4. Then we're going back down to 0, so again we're going down 4, so -4. Here we start at -2 or go to -2, and then we're still going backwards. We go back 1, 2, 3. If we're going backwards, it's a negative. It's -2 minus 3. Now on these problems, it says model the expression using symbols. So we're going to create our own number line here. So first one says -6. So we're going to start at 0. And we're going to go backwards. We'll say this is -6. Then it says add 4. So we're going to go back up to here. -6 plus 4 is -2. So here's about -2, we'll say. Now these don't have to be perfect. just close. Alright, so this one we'll start at 0. And we'll go back -4. Now it says we're also going back 4 more. So we're going to go back -4 more. So this will put us at -8. And down here, we start at 0. We go back -3. Say this is -3. And again, we're going back 7. So we'll say this is -10 because -3 minus 7 is -10. Finally, we have one last one. So start at 0. And we'll go backwards, -6. But then we're adding 6 again. So we're going right back to 0. So -6 plus 6 is 0. Now our word problem says a scuba diver dives to a depth of 60 feet. So we can start off by making our making the sea level, so our waves. Now the diver goes down to a depth of 60 feet. We'll say he goes down 60. He then rises 25 feet. Sinks 10 more feet. And then rises 25 more feet again. So we need to figure out where this diver ended up. Well, we know that he started at -60. He went down 60 feet first. Then he added 25. So -60 plus 25 would be -35. So we know he's at -35 now. Then he sinks 10 more feet, so he's at -45. And lastly, he goes from -45 and adds 25 feet. So he is at -20 feet below sea level. Here we are multiplying and dividing negatives and positives. If we remember that the positive numbers are like smiley faces, two smiley people or two people in good moods are going to come out, are going to get together and they're going to be happy. Now we have a person who's in a good mood and a person who's in a bad mood. This person in the bad mood is going to bring down the person who's in the good mood, and their answer would be negative. So this negative person brings this positive person down with him. Now we have two negative people. This negative person found a friend in the other negative person. If they're both negative together, they're going to be happy. So two negatives equals a happy person. Two negatives equals a positive. So what we have here is a -24, a sad person, divided by a happy person. This negative person is going to bring the happy person down, so it's going to be negative. -24 divided by 6 is -4. Here we have a sad person times a sad person. Two sad people make a positive person. -3 times -4, 4 times 3 is 12. Here we have 6 touching a -7, so a happy person with a sad person. So we know our answer is going to be negative. 6 times 7 is 42, so negative 42. And finally, two negatives make it positive. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Alright, that is integer operations. Now let's go on to mean, median, mode, and range. So, what mean is the average. So what we're going to do when we find the mean is we are going to add up all of these temperatures and then divide by how many temperatures we have. So we are going to take our 20 plus our negative 11 plus 72 plus negative 1 plus 9 plus 17 and plus negative 5. So we're going to add all of those together. How many temperatures do we have? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to divide by 7. If we do that math, hold on, let me put this into my calculator. 20 plus negative 11 plus 72 plus negative 1 plus 9 plus 17 plus negative 5 divided by 7. And our mean, or our average, comes out to be about 14.43. So our mean is our average. Now our mode is the number that appears the most often. So if we look at our numbers, we have none of them the same. So we have no numbers that appear the most often because each one appears once. So we have no mode. So the number that appears the most often, we don't have any, so we have no mode. Our median is the one in the middle. So what we need to do with our middle is we need to line them up in order from least to greatest. So our first one's going to be negative 11, then negative 5, then negative 1, then it looks like 9, and 17, and 20, and 72. So when we are finding the median, we're going to cross off the first one, and the last one, and then the next one, and the second to last, until we find our middle. Our median is 9. Our middle is 9. The range is the distance between our lowest one and our highest one. So our lowest one we know is negative 11, and we know our highest one is 72. So we could do negative 11 plus 72. What that's going to give us is positive 61. So our range is 61. Now you could rewrite this the different way. You could do 72 minus 11 too, if you wanted to. That would get you the same answer, 61. Now let's talk about outliers. Outliers are values in a data set that are much greater or much less than the others. So based on our temperatures up here, are there any that are much greater or much less? Much less. To me, it looks like the one that is greater than all of these would be about 72. So our temperature, 72, is an outlier. Without the outlier, we need to find our mean. So if we got rid of that 72, we would have 20 plus negative 11 plus negative 1 plus 9 plus 17 plus negative 5. So if we added those all together, we have 20 plus negative 11 plus negative 1 plus 9 plus 17 plus negative 5. And we get 29. So 29, we have to divide that by how many numbers we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 29 divided by 6 gives us 4.83. Says, how did the mean change without the outlier? Well, it got a lot smaller. It went from 14.43 to 4.83. So if we have a bigger temperature or outlier, our mean is going to be greater. If we have a smaller one, our mean will be smaller. So for this set of numbers, we need to find our mean. So we have 72 plus 107 plus 2 plus 85 plus 96 and plus 54. So we're going to add all those together, and we're going to count up how many numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we divide by 6. Once we find our answer, then we have 72 plus 107 plus 2 plus 85 plus 96 plus 54. So it's 416 divided by 6 gives us 69.3. Now, it says, is there an outlier? Is there a number that's a lot higher or a lot smaller than our numbers? Well, 72, 107, 85, 96, and 54 kind of look close to each other, but 2 is something that is a lot lower. So we could say 2 is our outlier. So then we find the mean without the outlier. So 72 plus 107 plus 85 plus 96 and plus 54 divided by, now we don't have the outlier, so 5 instead of 6. And we come up with 82.8. So it says, how are the means different? Well, when we got rid of our smaller outlier, our mean went up.